A record number of Americans don't have enough money to retire, and there are three primary reasons for this. Number one is that Social Security isn't enough. Number two, inflation is making it more expensive to retire. And number three is the 401k accounts are not growing fast enough. This is where the Trump administration wants you to be able to invest your 401k money into alternative assets, things like crypto and startups that have more risk, but also more growth potential. They're more aggressive, that way you can hopefully have more money when it comes time for you to retire. So if you have money in a 401k, this video is for you. The average American will need $1.5 million to retire comfortably according to USA Today. This is not flying around the world in first class. This is being able to retire comfortably. The problem is most people, including people about to retire, don't have $1.5 million. The average 401k balance for somebody in their 60s is just under $600,000. Now that might sound strong, but remember, this is the average. The average includes all the people that have millions of dollars to skew that number potentially higher. Take a look at this. The median 401k balance for somebody in their 60s is under $200,000. That median number gives us a better representation of what's actually happening in the country, which shows us people don't have anywhere near this money to retire. Now, there are three factors that will determine if you retire a millionaire or not. I call it TRM, time, return, and money. We can't go back in time and start investing yesterday. Yes, you can change how much money you invest, but when it comes to return, this is why the Trump administration is trying to change what you can invest your 401k money into. That way you can hopefully get better returns, which come with higher risk. I'm going to talk more about what that means specifically in just a minute, but in order to understand these changes that are coming, you have to understand two things. Number one, you have to understand different types of 401ks, and you also have to understand how to calculate your net 401k return, because a lot of people get this number two wrong. Let's assume that this is you. For my male followers who drew a mustache, in my native language Punjabi, we call it a much. For my female followers who drew a braid, in my native language Punjabi, we call it a gut. You're 30 years old, you work a job making $60,000 a year, and now you are going to invest 10% of your income, in this case $6,000 a year, into your 401k, and your company is going to give you up to a 3% match, which means you invest $6,000 a year and your company is going to give you an additional $1,800 a year, which means you are investing $7,800 a year into your 401k. Well, the average 401k account is returning 8% a year, but you have to make a decision. Are you investing your money into a traditional 401k or a Roth 401k? Because the way a traditional 401k works is you get to invest all of this money, all $7,800 into your 401k today. The money is going to grow by 8% a year. And then when you pull the money out, you're going to pay taxes on that money, depending on what tax rates are and depending on how much money you are pulling out. Number two, with a Roth 401k, you're going to pay taxes on this money today. So you want to invest $7,800, but not all of that's going to go into the 401k because you have to pay taxes on that money. So let's take a look at what these numbers actually look like. If you follow this plan for 35 years with a traditional 401k, your money is going to grow to $1.35 million. Now, you don't get to keep all $1.35 million. Because remember, with the traditional, you did not pay taxes when the money went in. So now when you pull this money out, you're going to pay taxes. And if you Jaspreet, how much taxes? I don't know. I don't know what tax rates are going to look like in 5 years, let alone 35 years. So if taxes go up, which there's a very good chance taxes are going to go up, you're going to be left with less than this. But let's take a look at what would happen with a Roth. When you're making about $60,000 a year, your tax rate's going to be around 22%, which means you're investing $7,800, but 22% of that is going to go in taxes, which means in effect, you're really only investing a little bit over $6,000 a year. Now, when you put that $6,000 a year after taxes into your Roth, it can grow by 8% a year, and then it's going to grow to around $1.06 million. And then 35 years from now, when you pull this $1 million out, you've already paid your taxes, so you don't have to pay taxes again. So the question is, which one's going to give you more money? If you're going to pay less than 22% of your money in taxes when you pull your money out, which we don't know the answer to because we don't know the tax rate, we don't know what your income's going to look like. If you pay more than 22% in taxes, it makes more sense for you to do a Roth. If you plan on paying less than that in taxes, then a traditional would make more sense. Which then brings us to number two, understanding really your net return as an investor. Now, I do want to remind you that for those of you that are investors or want to become investors, I have a free investing masterclass where I'll walk you through how you can get started as an investor and find hidden investment opportunities before everybody else. And I'll even show you the exact framework that my analysts at Market Briefs Pro do to research investment opportunities before they hit the headlines. It's a completely free masterclass. There's a ton of value in it. So if you want to register for the masterclass, you're also going to get access to Market Briefs, which is my newsletter for investors, completely free. So if you want to get the masterclass on Market Briefs all for free, all you have to do is register, and I have the link for you down in the description below. When it comes to you calculating your net return, you have to take a look at fees, because when you invest your money in a 401k, your money is going to be going into a fund, and this fund has an expense ratio, which is a fee. And you have to calculate that in, because even a small little 1% fee can add up to a lot of costs over the course of your investing career. So let's run some numbers, assuming that you have a small little 1% fee. What that means with a traditional 401k is you're not going to end up with $1.35 million. Now, instead, you're going to end up with around $1.06 million, because this fee is going to end up costing you right around $300,000. Because it's not just a 1% fee that you pay on $700-800 once. It's a 1% fee on every dollar that you invest for every year that's invested, plus every dollar of profit over the course of your investing career. And that means your Roth is now going to end up with $1.06 million. Now you're going to have around $833,000. This is why it's so important for you to take a look at fees, because a lot of people are paying very high fees and getting average returns, when there are ways for you to pay less fees and get the same return, and sometimes pay less fees and get higher returns, which is why it's so important. Your homework after this video is to go take a look at your 401k, see what funds you're invested in, take a look at the fees, take a look at its historical returns to see, is it worth paying all these fees? Now that we're on the same page of how the 401k works, let's talk about what Trump's proposal is, because we are seeing a retirement crisis where a lot of people just don't have enough money to retire. And what President Trump is saying is, what if there are ways for you to invest in more aggressive, more risky investments to get potentially better returns? Now, with more risk is obviously more potential return, but that also means that some people are going to lose more money. So understand that. But if you can get slightly better returns, it can change how much wealth you have. And we know right now, America has a problem where many Americans just don't have enough money to retire. So this new proposal by President Trump is working to allow investors in the 401k to invest in a number of different alternative investments. Let me highlight the main ones that it's discussing. Number one are private companies. Number two is private credit. Number three is real estate. Number four is crypto and other digital assets. And number five is United States infrastructure. So let's break this down, starting with private companies. Let me start with the exciting part, and then I'll kind of bring it back down to reality. The idea here is there are certain companies that we've all heard about: Uber, Airbnb, Zillow. What if you could have been an investor in these companies before they hit the stock market, before their stocks really rallied? You would be extremely rich, because the early investor in these early big companies were able to see huge returns on their money. And you can invest in these startup companies as well. It's very exciting, because yes, if you can invest in one of these big companies before they become big and everybody uses it, you can make a lot of money. But the problem is, most of these companies are not going to make it big. How do I know? Because I invest in startups. And many of the startups that I have invested in have gone bust and gone nowhere. It's a part of the process. So you, through your 401k, may have the opportunity to invest in some of these early stage companies, which is great if you hit it big, but there's also a chance that those companies are going to go nowhere. Let's keep that in mind. Number two is private credit. This is lending money more specifically to corporations, because pretty much every major corporation out there has to borrow money. Now they're borrowing money from banks and other investment institutions, and these institutions are now raising money from private investors. And you could be one of the lenders to these institutions that are lending money to these corporations. So when McDonald's or Apple goes out and borrows money, you could be contributing money to those loans, and in exchange, you will get paid back with interest. Now, of course, just like with everything else, there are many different grades of risk. You can lend money to companies like Apple and Amazon, which are very low risk because these companies are very established with big profits. And then you have the more risky companies, which are going to be less known, less heard of, that are going to pay higher interest rates because, well, there's a chance that company can go out of business, a higher chance that they can go out of business, so you need to be compensated for that risk. Number three is real estate more specifically private market real estate, where now you can invest in private real estate funds outside of just a REIT. The idea here is you can get exposure to real estate and not have all the volatility that you have in the stock market when you invest in these funds, because when you invest in real estate, well, you can get steady cash flow and hopefully see steady appreciation in the value of the real estate as well. That's the real value of real estate. Number one, you're owning a hard asset that can hopefully go up in value, but it's also going to pay you every single month because the tenants inside of that building are going to be paying every single month to live there or use that building. And you can get exposure to that type of real estate with these private real estate funds. Number four is crypto. Now, it goes without saying that the Trump administration wants to make the United States the Bitcoin capital of the world. And yes, it is a speculative investment. I'm telling you this as somebody who has been investing in crypto for almost a decade now. It is a speculative investment. It can go up and down very quickly. But it has made some people incredibly wealthy. And if it continues to go up in the future, it can create more millionaires in the future as well. This is where the Trump administration is hoping that if more people can get involved in crypto, they can not only help the value of crypto, but then also create more wealth. Because crypto has this network effect that when more people buy Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin goes up because there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. And then number five is US infrastructure. And what this means more specifically is lending money to the United States government specifically to fund infrastructure projects. And this is kind of like a win-win, where now the United States government gets money to fund the infrastructure projects, and you have the ability to generate interest, steady interest from the United States government, which is relatively low risk in the sense that they're probably going to get paid, but not low risk in the sense that the dollars you're going to get paid will keep the same value 5 years from now that they will today, because the United States government has been working to spend a lot of money they don't have, which creates more money printing, which causes the value of our dollars to go down. So you can lend money to the United States government to help fund these infrastructure projects as a way to help fuel the United States economy, but then also generate some interest for you as well. Now, to be clear, these have not been implemented yet, but many economists are anticipating that we're going to see real progress with this in 2026. But even if this gets approved, the next thing that has to happen is your employer, your company, has to actually allow you to be able to invest in these funds. Some employers will, some employers will not. But the thing that I want you to know, as a random guy on YouTube who is not a financial advisor, is my goal would be to, number one, make sure that if my 401k is my sole retirement plan or my main retirement plan, make sure there's money in it first. And when the money goes in, have the proven investments first, the funds that give me exposure to the broad markets, because those are the things that have been proven the test of time. These are more speculative. And the way that I build my portfolio is that speculative assets have a smaller piece of my portfolio. It's about 16 to 18% of my portfolio, my speculative assets, less than 20%. The reason why I've made it almost 20% is because I've built wealth in other assets. Otherwise, it'd probably be closer to 10%. So speculative assets are great, and they can be a part of your portfolio, but make it a speculative piece of your portfolio. Because yes, it can go up and make you a lot of money very quickly, but it can also go down, and you don't want to be gambling with your wealth, with your retirement money. You want to make sure you have some stable investments. And I get it, the stock market is not always stable, but it's been proven through the test of time. And when you have the proven assets as the bulk of your portfolio, and then you have some speculative assets, well, now the speculative assets can help fuel the rest of your portfolio. Because the unfortunate part is we're not taught financial education. We're not taught how to invest our money. So when you hear the idea of, hey, these investments can make you 30% a year, you do some investing calculations and you realize, holy crap, I could retire with $100 million. And now you start dumping your money into the 30% a year hope, 50% a year hope, 100% of a year hope. But then you have some bad years. Now you can panic. Now you sell. And now you end up losing more money than you would have had if you just would have made some safer investments. That's why financial education is so important. And this is why, again, I have a free investing masterclass where I'll walk you through how you can get started as an investor and find hidden investment opportunities before everybody else. That link is for you down in the description. And if you got value out of this video, the best thank you is a referral. So if you could, please share this video with a friend, family member, colleague, or fellow investor. That way we can continue to spread this type of financial education. Thank you. The majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck with little to no investments and drowning in debt. And things are not going to magically get easier next year. But in the middle of all this chaos is opportunity. That opportunity is ability for you to grow your wealth even faster, assuming you don't fall into these 10 money traps that I'm going to show you in this video. So please Watch this video until the end.